going to be about shopping campaigns. Jack just told us about his kind of experimenting with shopping campaigns. So you're going to tell us a little bit about kind of strategies for upgrading, just some general information about shopping campaigns, because you probably know that an upgrade will be happening at the latter part of this year. So it's definitely something that if you work with clients that have product listing ads, perk up for this one. So Tom is based in London, and he's a partner operations manager. So he is going to give a presentation and then be able to take questions. So take it away, Tom.
Thanks very much, Coco. Okay, so before I run into this, it would be great to get an idea of how familiar you all are with PLAs and regular PLAs. So if you've used them before, you use them regularly. Okay, so there's a good few. And how familiar are people with shopping campaigns? Has anyone played around with them yet? Okay, yes. And out of the people that have played around with shopping campaigns, have you upgraded any of your accounts to use them completely? A few. Okay, so less than what we had previously. I'm not sure. Is the microphone working? It keeps on cutting off.
Switch.
Is this a little bit better? Yeah, sounds a bit better. Awesome. Okay. So as Coco mentioned, I'm a partner operation manager. I joined Google in 2011, and ever since, well, I joined the UKI services team, so I believe you spoke to Gareth a little bit earlier, and so I was reporting under him. I joined the shopping operations team in January 2013 to help with the free-to-pay migration for PLAs. And more recently, I've been working on the shopping campaign upgrades in some of Europe's largest customers. So lots of experience around working with PLAs and shopping campaigns over the course of years I've been at Google. Okay, so shopping campaigns. Why did we introduce them? Originally, when we were looking at regular PLA campaigns, we took a really long, hard thought at what was the best way in order to make regular, well, PLAs a lot more intuitive. And we spoke to advertisers large and small to get a much better idea of what our advertisers really wanted from the PLA ad format and how to promote them in a much better way. So the feedback that we got from everybody was that merchants think about their inventory as the most important thing. So they want to be able to promote specific products, and especially if we think about a retail store and how stores are laid out and specific products are displayed in the shop window or at eye level or display tags around particular clearance items, then it makes a lot more sense if we are able to do that within the AdWords interface for shopping campaigns as well. So that's really the thought process behind how we can make PLAs a lot more intuitive for our advertisers. Some of the benefits around shopping campaigns are, well, threefold. So first we have the more retail-centric approach to campaign management. So rather than having to flip between your Merchant Center account and your AdWords account, which you had to do previously, you can basically jump to, well, you can see all of the inventory straight within the AdWords account rather than having to go into the Merchant Center account. You can merchandise your products together into a single group or multiple product groups rather than having convoluted methods of product targets that you saw previously. And you can promote your sales through a new feature of campaign priorities, which basically allow you to tell people which is the campaign that you want to serve in a particular product. In addition to the retail-centric campaign management, we've introduced advanced reporting features. So before, what would happen with regular PLA campaigns is often we get very convoluted structures of campaigns, incredibly complex. We're talking about single product IDs from feeds within single ad groups and that type of thing, just to create an environment where you're able to get decent reporting out of regular With shopping campaigns, you no longer have to take the same approach to be able to get better reporting. We've introduced the dimensions tab for shopping campaigns at the product group level. Not having to have that same structure. The competitive landscape data is an incredibly useful feature of shopping. So in addition to the advanced reporting, you can also see for the new product groups that you make, you're able to track your stats against your competitors. So you can see whether or not your benchmark CTR, if you're performing as well as you should be in terms of your click-through rate, and you can now also see how competitive you are in terms of your max CPC. So are your bids falling below the max average? Additionally, we've introduced impression share for product groups. So this is a feature that we didn't have for regular bids. So you can see how competitive you are being. You can also estimate the number of impressions and click opportunities using the bid simulator. All features brand new to shopping campaigns. So shopping campaigns. Probably just kicked in again. I don't know how this microphone works at all. Shopping campaigns are a much better intuitive way to promote your product listing ads. But something that we've actually seen a lot of confusion around is whether or not there is a difference between the regular PLA auction and the shopping campaign auction. And there isn't. They're exactly the same back end. So the success that we've seen with shopping campaigns thus far are due to the features that I've just run through. People being able to get much more accessible optimization opportunities in order to be promoting the products correctly at the right price. Whereas with regular PLAs, they didn't have that inside. So just to clarify once more, none of the increases in performance we're seeing through shopping campaigns due to back-end changes. It's all around the opportunities coming out. One thing to note at this point is we are upgrading all of our regular PLA campaigns to shopping campaigns by end of August. So we'd recommend that people still waiting to upgrade do so, ideally as the first kind of optimization step for the summer holidays. As a case study, one of our really early adopters of shopping campaigns is a London-based company, Farfetch. They have seen conversion rates increase by 13% with a lower CPA by 20%, and that is literally just through using some of the additional features that shopping campaigns have introduced. So we're seeing some really strong progress with the optimization opportunities that shopping campaigns. Right. Is there anything I need to press there, Gary?
Give it a little love tap. Just keep switching.
This one is working.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so now I'm just going to run you through the flow of how you actually upgrade to shopping campaigns. We've made it super simple and really straightforward, and it can be done in 3 basic steps. First is obviously creating the campaign in the AdWords content, then you're selecting your campaign settings as you would normally expect, and then we're introducing a new concept of segmenting your inventory into product groups. So creating a new campaign is very straightforward. You would go to the campaigns tab of AdWords and select the campaign creation button, and here is where you would see the new shopping subtype as an option to select. Selecting that takes you through to the campaign settings page, and in here, this is where you would be able to choose your campaign name, choose your Merchant Center account, the country of sale of the feed within the Merchant Center account, and your bids and budgets as you would normally expect. For those of you who are working with customers, you can also, at this stage of the shopping campaign, choose dynamic tracking parameters if you don't have access to people's bids, so that you can track the performance if your customer isn't able to do so themselves. And really, that's it. That's how you create a shopping campaign. After you've set all your default bids and budgets, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see here, but the default bid that you select is automatically transferred over to the all products group. Now, what the all products group is it targets all of the inventory within the feed in the Merchant Center account. And it copies over the default bid from the settings page that you put into your campaigns, obviously. So I think in this case it's 65%. After you have your products group, the next stage, what you're going to want to do with your shopping campaign is to segment your inventory into product groups. So if we think about retailers, if we take an example of shoes, so if you had a £10 pair of flip-flops and a £300 pair of Manolo bags, you're going to want to bid differently on those shoes, no matter kind of which retailer you are. And how you would segment those to separate the products differently and bid on them differently is through this introduction of product groups. They're very similar to what we had with product targets in regular PLA campaigns, except one of the key differences being that there's no overlap. So for your product targets within a single campaign or multiple campaigns, you can have overlapping product groups. And then what AdWords would try and do is kind of match the product to the highest bid to be able to determine where to sell it from. With shopping campaigns, we've taken a step back from that approach and introduced these product groups and make it a lot more simpler for you to be able to just select your products that you want to and to be able to put a bid against it that makes sense for that product. Creating product groups in shopping campaigns is also super easy. So all you have to do is click on the plus, and this opens up a subdivision window. Now, in the subdivision window, you will see at the top of it there is a drop-down box which you can select. Just highlight here. It's broken again. I'm having no joy with this.
Leave this up with you.
Okay. I just saw it to me. This one, oh, now sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay. Just right
I
now.
think you need to hold it closer to your mouth.
I'm scared I might deafen you. Okay. So what we have. Okay. If I just hold it here, then.
Don't move.
Don't move. Okay. Stand really still. Right. Yeah.
Just talk about it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's try. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. It sounds really loud to me. Okay, so these are the attributes within the feed that you would be able to subdivide a shopping campaign by. So there's 6 options that you can really choose from, and this is category, which refers to Google product category, which is an attribute within the feed. You've also got brand, item ID, condition, product type, and then something called custom labels. And these are what you can do to segment your campaign structure by. In order to subdivide by these particular categories, in this place we have gone for category, the Google product category, you would be looking to choose really your highest value product groups. So whether or not it's a product group that has high conversions or high volume or high traffic, or just basically high importance to your business. In this case, we're going to run with an example of bikes and clothing and parts. As for our cycle retailer, this contains a considerable amount of their important items. And by clicking on the left, it brings them over to the window on the right, which is your selection of subdivision groups, and then you just press save, and that saves the product groups. Now, what you might have noticed here is we selected 3 product groups in the subdivision, but we've actually got 4 product groups that we made in the campaign. Now, this is significant because we have introduced a concept of everything else in your product subdivisions. So this just basically makes sure that when you are segmenting your campaigns out, that all of your products are covered by a bid within your feed. So naturally, after you've subdivided your products out for the first time, you're able to select kind of the appropriate bids for each of those product groups, and you can just do that by clicking on the bid and changing it as you normally would expect. Where shopping campaigns really becomes useful is if we began to assume this campaign had improved impressions, then we would expect the benchmark CTR, the benchmark CPC, and the impression share columns to populate with data, so that you'd be able to make strategic decisions on, is my bid high enough for my bike products, or am I getting as much impression share as I would expect to do it? So immediately the first subdivision level, shopping campaigns becomes very useful.
what you can do is subdivide these product groups up to 7 times. And it just goes through the same process that we've already been through. By clicking on the plus, this opens the subdivision window, and then you're able to run through all of the available attributes to segment the groups by. The coolest thing about shopping campaigns is that this is all based on the contents of the feed. So no more jumping in and out of kind of AdWords and the Merchant Center to be able to find the product groups that you want to target by. It's all directly powering the front end of AdWords, so that you don't have to do that anymore. So in this example, what we've done is we've broken out the bikes product group by an attribute called product type. Product type refers to really an internal taxonomy that our retailers use either in their kind of own inventory system or even the breadcrumb of their website, that type of thing. But in this case, what we've done is we've introduced gender to the product type to be able to segment initially by gender. And then we've also introduced kind of type of bike, so whether or not it's a road bike or a triathlon bike, that type of thing. So that, once again, you'll see, as soon as we start to get into much more broken out kind of campaign structures, that the opportunity for the benchmark CTR and CPC and impression share becomes even more useful. So that you'll be able to see for a particular type of bike, or even men's or women's bikes, depending on your feed and how it's set out, that you would be able to tweak and optimize to a very granular level straight within shopping campaigns. So now that we have a basic idea of kind of what shopping campaigns are and how they work, it would be time to plan your upgrade strategy for them. There are kind of 3 main types of upgrade strategy that we have come across working with some of the largest retailers in Europe, and it really determines around the bid strategy that they want to use overall. So largely they would fall into 3 kind of main areas, either being kind of product merchandising orientated. So I'm more interested in product type and brands, and I want to bid on differently due to product type and brands. Secondly, we have those kind of more performance driven. So I'm interested in bidding on my highest performers versus my lowest performers. And finally, which is my favorite approach, is the hybrid approach. So you'll take elements of product type and brands, and then you'll complement that with performance information. So let's run through these so you actually get a better idea of what I mean. Okay, so in order to merchandise by brand and product lines, you'll be interested in kind of the catalog system of the particular customer or merchant you're working with, or even your own. And what you'll be looking to do is to follow this internal taxonomy so that you're then promoting the particular brands that you have the most amount of. So this could really be done either way. You could start with brands and then go into product type, or you can start with product type and then go into brands to be able to target those brands or those product lines that you want with the appropriate bids against them. You'll notice here that there's a couple of attributes that we're discussing specifically, which are kind of product type, Google product category, and brand attributes within the feed that you can target by. The second approach is merchandising by inventory performance. So this is where you would cut and slice and dice your feed through custom label attributes. Now, just to mention quickly what custom labels are, these are tags that you can put into the feed so that you can target specific groups of products that don't really correlate amongst other product lines. So they don't all fall into a particular brand of bikes. It might be bestsellers, it could be top performers, that type of thing. So in this particular or template, if you like, for upgrading to shopping campaigns, we've first gone by segmenting through bestsellers, then using another custom label to segment by high margin or low margin, before actually going down to the product ID level within those to segment either for really strong performance, or if there's some weaker performing products, you could also use them to exclude. So basically just going for a very granular structure in order to get the most out of shopping. And finally, as I mentioned, the hybrid needs. So This is really my favorite approach because I think it complements very nicely with both the kind of performance type template and then the product type template. So in this particular example, we're looking at breaking out by apparel as the first level of product type, then further using product type information to segment by women's and men's, and then looking at the most granular level by kind of ID or brand or even kind of the best sellers. So you can see how each of the attributes can complement each other in very different ways, and it's all completely dependent on the information that we have within the feed that will then determine which approach that we can be able to take. So by thinking about the bidding strategy that you want to take with the upgrade, this is then going to determine what you need to change within your feed in order to be able to facilitate this type of targeting within AdWords. So with that, we will discuss the data feeds in just a second. What I would always recommend to all the customers that I work with is that when you're planning the upgrade process to shopping campaigns, you look at what's working very well in regular PLA campaigns, because there's a lot of learnings that you can have and take away from your regular PLA campaigns that are directly translatable to your shopping campaigns. So it's looking at the strongest product targets that you have currently running and looking to see how you can recreate that within your shopping campaign structure. So in other words, is if you have a brand product target that's performing very well with a bid of £1, there's no point in reinventing the wheel. It would be just a matter of recreating that within your shopping campaign to have that same brand product group with the same bid, so you keep the same level of performance. One of the strong opportunities of shopping campaigns is when you're looking at the existing regular PLA structure, one of the things we will commonly see is the all products group gets the majority of traffic. Now, what that suggests is that the structure that they had previously with regular PLA campaigns isn't particularly well optimized because there's opportunity to subdivide further. So having a look at the distribution across your product targets to see how that would then translate to your shopping campaigns to make sure that you are as kind of broadly and granularly optimized as you can be, making sure that no one product group is getting the majority of traffic. And the third part of kind of planning your upgrade guide is not only looking at what you had previously, but trying to assess what you would like to include in your shopping campaigns. So are there particular custom labels that you haven't thought about introducing before? This is particularly good if you're wanting to work towards KPIs that really kind of weren't there or unavailable within regular PLA campaigns before. So working to margin information or working to return on ad spend, that's it. So as I mentioned, let's talk about some data feeds. So obviously shopping campaigns and PLAs as a whole really rely on data feeds within the merchant center. So it's super important, just from a shopping campaign side of things, that we revisit the attributes in the feed that really empower shopping campaigns. So there's 6 that I would like to speak to you about today, and these are Google product category, brand, item ID, custom labels, condition, and product type. What you may have noticed as I was going through the upgrade template plans is that there's a couple of these attributes that are commonly used. The first that I really want to talk about is product type. Now, product type is possibly one of the strongest attributes to be able to use and subdivide by initially, because it follows the taxonomy of the merchant's kind of database or website, breadcrumbs, anything. But it's basically how they set out their product inventory internally. So it really makes sense in lots of cases that their advertising campaigns map to how it is internally mapped to their own organizational needs. So in this particular case, this is an example of what the product type attribute would look like within a data feed. So we start with apparel, and then we go into gender information, of course, subcategory, style, and size. And each one of those tiers or levels we can use to target specifically within shopping campaigns. What's important to note specifically for this attribute is that it needs to follow a specific syntax, which is what we can see on the screen, where you have the greater than or caret symbol with the space outside of it. So if that isn't included, then shopping campaigns won't recognize it as a leveling system, and then you wouldn't be able to subdivide it in the same way as what we've been through today. There are occasions where, if the data feeds aren't as complete as perhaps we would like them to be, that we could use the Google product category, which is our own version of a taxonomy. So this attribute is particularly interesting in two facets. One for shopping campaigns, because if there isn't a product type attribute available to use, then we can use Google product category instead within the feed. If it isn't within the feed, then what our system does is it will look at the other attributes against the products and assess which category it should fall within. So you would still be able to subdivide your shopping campaign by Google product category, even if it isn't within the feed. Now, this also represents an optimization opportunity, because if you were to submit Google product category in the data feed at a very granular level, then our system no longer really needs to guess at which category kind of it should fall into. So this can really help in helping us group the products together that we then serve in the auction. So I would really recommend that you look to try and submit Google product categories, not only as a method for subdivision of shopping campaigns, but also as an optimization opportunity for PLAs as general. And then the custom labels. So this, as I mentioned before, is really where you can target specific groups of products across product lines or brands. So there are 5 custom label attributes that you're able to use, and these are custom labels 0 through to 4. Now, what's important with custom labels is they're very different to AdWords labels that we had previously for regular labels. The custom labels, you're only able to submit one product per, or one value per label. So you can submit 5 labels for a single product, but there's another slide that visualizes that a little bit better in a second. Typically, what we will see custom labels being used for are really entering kind of KPI information, so return on ad spend, high margin, low margin, performance data such as bestsellers, top performers, and then holiday, seasonal, and promotional information in order for you to be able to target specific groups of products when it really matters the most. So, as I mentioned, with custom labels, you can only have one value per product in the custom label. So, in this instance, as we mentioned, we've got holiday, seasonal items in custom label 0, so we're targeting by spring or by fall. In custom label 1, we're targeting by promotion, so whether or not it's a flash sale or merchant promotion. Custom label 2, we have bestseller, so that we can target the bestseller information. Custom label 3, that's where we're including margin information. Custom label 4 is Mother's Day, Father's Day, and other kind of seasonal holidays. So, as I also mentioned, the major difference around custom labels to AdWords labels and AdWords groupings is within AdWords groupings you can submit multiple values. Within AdWords labels you can only submit, within custom labels, apologies, you can only submit one value. When you are introducing these to your feeds, it's really important that you don't remove the AdWords labels and AdWords groupings for 2 reasons. One, if the campaign is using them that you presently have set up and you remove them from the data feed, that's going to interrupt the activity that you have from your previous campaigns. And secondly, you can also use these attributes for other products, dynamic remarketing, and that type of thing. So they won't have any negative impact on the shopping campaigns whatsoever if you leave them in. So copy these over to the custom labels if you want to use the existing ones that are in place, or just add them, but don't change what you have already in your AdWords labels or groupings. Okay, so looking beyond the basics of shopping campaigns. Bidding. So it may seem obvious at this stage, but bidding on unique groups of products that you want to target specifically is the fundamental point of shopping campaigns. One point that I would really like to reinforce is this means you don't have to bid on everything that we were previously seeing with regular PLA campaigns. You can bid only on the products that you specifically want to bid differently on. So that's really important to bear in mind. So basically why that is because with the advanced reporting we introduced, you don't have to have the same bidding structures as you did with regular PLA campaigns because you can get the reporting information straight out from the dimensions tab. So only bid on the products that mean the most to your business. With shopping campaigns, it's also really important to limit the level of ID bidding. So as I mentioned previously, you would have some structures with regular PLA campaigns in which the bidding was very, very, very granular at the ad group ID level. With shopping campaigns currently, because there really isn't the same level of bulk editing features that we have available for regular PLA campaigns, you would very quickly create a structure for yourselves that would be tough to manage. So that's something that I would really recommend you avoid doing. Also, with shopping campaigns, as soon as you start to bid down to the product ID level, the benchmark CTR and impression share data that we mentioned earlier isn't available at the product ID. So you wouldn't be able to get the same optimization insights from breaking it down to that very, very low level. While shopping campaigns have been incredibly successful for a large number of our advertisers, there have been some cases where it hasn't been so successful. And this is largely down to the granularity that you can get to within shopping campaigns compared to regular PLA campaigns. And that is to say that when people have been struggling to upgrade, it's because they've been promoting products with lower bids than what they were previously doing within regular PLA campaign structures. And obviously, if you're promoting with lower bids, then they're going to be able to enter less auctions and that type of thing. So ensuring when going through the upgrade process that all of your products have the bids that you specify. In that you're aware that if you're going down to a more granular structure from your previous regular PLA campaign to the shopping campaign, that the bid is exactly what you want it to be to either maintain or decrease the traffic that you're choosing to do so. Okay, moving quickly on to structure. It's really important for you to consider whether or not you really need to use multiple ad groups within shopping campaigns. There are some benefits and some disadvantages to using multiple ad groups. The benefits of using multiple ad groups is that you immediately eliminate the product overlap. So you would have a very clear-cut tree, everything within the same ad group, and not having to kind of overlap of products between different ad groups, which is something that can very easily happen. You can easily subdivide your inventory into product groups very straightforward, with not having to bear in mind other ad groups with those overlapping products. You can identify products that don't have bids incredibly easy because there'll be a large proportion of traffic running through that everything else catch-all, which replaces that all products target from the regular campaigns. You can also streamline your campaign management because it's much easier to manage everything within one ad group. There's a couple of use cases for multiple ad groups, and that's if you want to have over 20,000 product groups. Now, the limit for number of product groups within a particular ad group in shopping campaigns is 20,000. So if you have more than 20,000, that's when you're going to have to start to split out over multiple ad groups. You may also want to use multiple ad groups if you want to use mobile bid modifiers differently across your products, and if you want to use kind of more granular negative keywords and promotional text for shopping campaigns specifically. You also need to consider if you want to use multiple campaigns. So there's a couple of criteria that I would suggest you run through to determine if you do need to. Do you have different product lines or departments with separate budgets? Do you have certain products that drive more revenue than others? And do you have seasonal and promotional products? If you have say yes to any of those, then I would really recommend you start to use multiple campaigns on the basis of the example that we can see on the slide. So at the top we have one campaign with a budget of $350, and everything is included within it. We've got a bicycle pass and everything else. After we review the performance information that shopping campaigns provide, so we kind of benchmark for conversions and the dimensions tab and that type of thing, it may make more sense to segment out a key strategic product group, such as bicycles, into its own campaign so you can promote it specifically with its own budget. Likewise, you might also have some product groups where there is weaker performance. So in this case, kind of parts and everything else, you want to limit the traffic that that's getting to. And you can manage that effectively through introducing multiple campaigns. We have introduced some tools to shopping campaigns over regular PLA campaigns that make managing multiple campaigns much easier and much more intuitive. So the example we have before us is kind of 3 campaigns running alongside each other. A core campaign, a best-selling campaign, and then an on-sale/seasonal campaign. And the features that I'm referring to are something called campaign priority and exclusions. So let me just run over what exclusions are. For any given product group, like what we've seen, you can change the bid, but you can also choose to exclude them. So if you have product groups in overlapping ad groups or campaigns, you can determine which ad group or campaign you would like that traffic to run through by excluding it, to make it sure that you only have it targeted within the one ad group or campaign. Campaign priority lets you tier your campaigns. So there's also been some confusion around campaign priority and how it works. Campaign priority only lets you specify, if you have an overlapping product in 2 different campaigns, which bid to use in any given circumstance. So if you set a campaign priority to high, it's not going to improve the performance and promote that campaign over another one. It just tells us that in any given circumstances for campaigns with lower bids and overlapping product groups, that you want to serve the product from the high priority campaign. But through using campaign priority, you can create a nice tier of campaign structures. So let me show you this. Okay, so at the bottom and the base, we have our core campaign, which targets 100% of the inventory through basically an all products group. This has a low budget, is always on, and a low priority. The next stage, we have our best selling campaign, and this is a medium priority, a much more aggressive budget, and also always running. What we're doing with the best-selling campaign is targeting the inventory using custom labels and item IDs to target these products specifically. We finally use the highest level of campaign priority for seasonal and promotional campaigns. So this is where you have inventory that you want to target specifically, let's say for the summer months, if you want to promote your summer dresses or flip-flops or that sort of thing. And you can just turn that campaign on, let it run. It won't affect the rest of your structure, but because those items have been tagged through custom labels, the AdWords will know to serve them from the seasonal campaign over the rest of the campaign structure. Okay, so quick summary and next steps. Shopping campaigns are a much better way to organize, bid, and report on PLAs over regular PLA campaigns. Really do take the time to upgrade thoughtfully and according to your business goals. So is there anything new that you want to introduce for shopping campaigns specifically, such as custom labels, or are there particular product groups that you want to recreate from your product targets? And finally, use the opportunity to streamline your PLA management process. So look at the campaign structure. Do you need multiple campaigns, multiple ad groups? A quick checklist for your upgrades. First off, filter for your top performing products. A typical rule of thumb here is the 80-20 rule, with 20% of your inventory driving the majority of your traffic. Optimize your data feed to include custom labels to make sure that your product type is correct and complete, and that you're submitting all the information that you want to within the data feed to be able to promote it specifically within shopping campaigns. A good point to note here is that you will want to update your feeds before you begin to break out your shopping campaigns in the AdWords content. So it takes some time for the system to recognize that you've introduced these changes to your feed. So the sooner you update your feed, the sooner you'll be able to create these campaigns in AdWords. Then when you're ready, build your campaign in your product groups, set your bids, and then use the reporting and optimization opportunities within AdWords to optimize and refine to get the best performance out of it. So thank you very much, and I think we should have a good amount of time to answer any questions.